So you were just asked, can who am I can be used as uh, why am I? And when Bhagwan talked about who am I, Bhagwan meaning Ramana Maharshi, he has used two different words. He says one should know who am I, and he also said whence am I? Whence meaning where have I arrived from? So
Okay.
basically, the in-depth meaning of who am I is twofold. The larger meaning, which is the non-dualistic explanation of it, and everybody talks about the same, is to know that we are the reality. We are the consciousness. We are the cosmic energy that we are. And if we remove the veil of ignorance, we can merge with the self. So
Okay.
who am I basically is I am the ultimate reality, but I have forgotten it, or I have put a veil in front of me, and therefore I'm seeing the world around me as real, this body as me, whereas the knowledge, Vedantic knowledge is telling me that no, this is all created by the mind. You just remove that obfuscation, you remove that confusion, and you shall have the meeting with reality. You shall merge with reality. So, who am I is basically trying to understand that I am not this limited world. Life cannot be this limited life.
But
And
how do we remove the veil?
okay,
Or how do we come
so
to this understanding?
right, so
And also, when did you realize, like, when did you like
okay, I don't think
come
I'm.
in?
First of all, I'm not realized yet, and nor is anybody. We talked the other day about the other big names, the gurus who uh, talk about this non-duality and things like that, and they talk like a teacher. So
Oh yeah,
I always try
yeah.
to, I always try to put it up front. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a devotee of Ramana. The only difference is that I'm a very staunch, earnest, true devotee of Ramana. And that's why Ramana has taken away everything from me because he's removing the veil is removed when I remove my attention to the objects. Coming back to your question, so how do I begin
Okay.
this? This is a colossal. It's an endeavor, and it's a big. It's a big process. The beginning of the process is that I must first I must have the faith that yes, there is a higher power, there is a cosmic reality that governs my life. This is the process. How to process begin the process? If I look at my life, which I think I'm controlling, everybody tells oneself, yeah, my life is good, my health is good, I'm doing this, I'm planning this, and we have all our, you know, objectives in mind, and we are doing this and that, and we think we are creating our future and we are
Yeah.
controlling our present. Whereas if we were just to be little more wiser, we would know that our life is constantly changing, and I have not been able to stop any changes in my life, whether it be my career, whether it be my marital life, whether it be my kith and kin, whether it be my friends, whether it be my financial dealings, whether it be whatever my objects are. My objects and the definition of my objects have constantly been changing. I am the ignorant one who does not see as a constantly changing phenomenon. For example, I'm not the same I was 20 years back or 10 years back. I'm not the same person actually because of experiences in my life that I can admit with my closest friends, yes, I've changed a little bit. Or circumstances have changed for me all the time. And yet I don't embrace the fact that nothing is actually under my control. I have the falsity, I have that ignorant thinking that I'm the one I'm the conductor of my orchestra. I am not. I'm just a, a person whose life has been carved out, whose destiny has already been chosen. And yes, I can uh, read many, 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 many spiritual dialogues written by many people, and many religions talk about it. Destiny is in your hands. You can shape the future. You can do this. All that volition is okay, respected, no problems. But at the end of it, when things that I think should happen because of what I'm doing do not happen, I just stand and watch and I say, yeah, it didn't happen this time. Next time it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
my ego keeps rising, and the process of practicing who am I is first and foremost to have the faith that yes, there has to be an outside, not outside or inside, but an external, a different, an entity beyond my concept that must be governing my life exactly the way it governs the lives of all the other creatures around me, all the other living entities like trees and forests and rivers and mountains and volcanoes and tsunamis and rain and cloud. Where does it come from? Who does it? I begin to have, once I have the faith, I begin to look at the cosmic energy around me, a cosmic presence around me, which governs the life of every other living and non living, living creatures and insentient objects. And I don't
Okay.
I plan for my breakfast, I plan for my lunch, I plan for my dinner, I plan for my holiday because I want to be happy. And I keep on planning, and I don't even take a minute to look around and say, oh, my cat, I mean, I'm not talking about the cat that we have in the house or a dog we have in the house and we buy a dog food for them. Think of all the dogs and all the cats and all the parrots and all the sparrows, all the ravens or crow or whatever you call them, and tigers and leopards and bears and whatever deer, whatever creatures we can think about, all the fish in the ocean. Where do they get and do they plan for the next meal? They don't. And it still comes in front of them. They don't plan a menu. We plan a menu. We choose the taste. They don't. They are pre-programmed. They even their progeny is also programmed. They also, for example, they don't have any personal intellectual capacity to say, I will choose this, or the sparrow doesn't go thinking, oh, let me grab that particular insect today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just pecks on whatever is in front of it. That's all. But we human beings, we choose and we choose and we choose and we choose, and we create more and more adjectives around us, and we create more objects and objects and objects around us. So the first,
And the wanting and the process of wanting is always like from one object to another, like, and we're like always hopping from one thing to another. Like
yes,
now I'll go to vacation on
right.
during winter break, and then when is the next vacation? So I should put the money aside for that. And what do I need next? And what do I want next? And what do I want? And we're always like on the wanting thing, right?
Yes, so the first step is to have the faith. Second step is to, as you just now said, I'm always defining and planning my objects. And so the second step is to begin the withdrawal from my objects. I should
How do
withdraw
we
from it by thinking, and by thinking again with faith that if I withdraw, he's still going to look after me. So I don't have to plan for everything so vehemently, and it doesn't happen in one day because I'm a product of my previous existences. So I am the result of accumulated karmas, whether one likes the word karma or not, but karma is a buzzword nowadays, and
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
So
Everybody's like,
yeah, the actions that I take in this life are creating a pattern of my future lives. So there are various ways of explaining it. So the fruition of actions that I have taken in my previous lives is determining the course of my life in this current life. That is the fruition. Those are the karmas that have already ripened for me to now have the passage of my life. So I was born to such and such parents. I was born in such and such country or geographical area. I went to such and such school. I had such and such friends. And then I had my school and my job, and then my profession, and then my finance, and my partner or my spouse, and then my children, and then my grandchildren, and my children's in-laws, and my daughter's father-in-law and mother-in-law. My daughter's father-in-law's uncle died, so I go to that mourning, to that funeral. So my first person is me, Frederica, and my first
yeah.
person objects are my life, my body, my parents, my kith and kin, my money, my success, my profession, my children. So first person. Then the first person then begins to create a second person ego. My school teacher is my second person. First, I learn that this is me. I have a notebook and I go to school and my teacher tells me, write my name and I learn. And that way my ego starts because my parents taught me, and this is the way human beings have been programmed for millennia to think. When we were babies, the father or the mother says, who is this? And I put a hand on my body and say, oh,
I
Bandhu.
am this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's how the ego starts. And then where's your ball? Where's your notebook? Where's your spoon? Oh, did you get your cup? And that's how my first objects begin. Then when I go to school, my second objects begin. My friend, my teacher, my principal, my office, my lunch break, my shoes, this and that starts. And then as I keep growing, my third person, my friend's father, my father's brother, my mother's niece, my cousin, and second, third person keep on multiplying. Then I get married, then I have a job, and then
Okay.
I professionally I have clients, and then I have clients. So all those third objects. So all
Okay.
those kind of lapping up keep on adding to my ego, to egoistical definitions that I control all this. And the step is to say, to watch myself only as a person who is playing this role and to begin to look at my life as a life being conducted in front of me through this body, and I'm not actually controlling anything. And step back,
Okay.
watch, and accept. Once we have this faith, and once we begin to look at life as a programmed, carved out sequence of events for me, I begin to take a humbler look at life that actually I'm not creating even my own success. Because when I don't succeed, I just say, okay, next time I'll plan it differently. And this I didn't do right, and that I failed. And I blame the time, I blame money, I blame someone else for giving me wrong advice, or I blame something on.
Yeah.
So the mind is the culprit, mind is the ego. Ego is mind, mind is ego, keeps on creating more objects, and I keep getting attached to them. And I start thinking I have a control over them. I even tell people, this time I'm not going to let that happen. Previous time she did this or he did this, and this time I'm
Yeah,
going to. And
that's true.
that's pure ego. It's all
And,
ego.
and the thing, and it's very nice. It's very nice to listen to the way that you're putting it because it's like putting in words like also some kind of like individual craziness that we create on these dialogues, saying that, oh, I should have known better. Oh, this person, this and that. And that is a point that is very curious, which now at this point in my life now, I'm accepting much more like that there is this individual craziness as I have it. Like everybody has it, and everybody is living their own craziness, saying that, oh, this year I'm going to do this. And oh no, I'm not going to do that because I don't trust that person. They're
Yeah,
all, this is like everybody's acting in some way, right? It's like
right.
a
We all are
theater.
acting. We are all are acting in a bubble, thinking that we have
Yeah,
created a whole reality, which is fake.
yeah,
And the real
yeah,
reality is that which is beyond all this. So if I drop my ego and if I withdraw from the objects of my own life, then I can begin to have a clearer image of how to remove this dust. So I'm facing the mirror, and the mirror has a lot of dust on it. I still see my face, but I'm not removing
yeah,
the dust to say that, yes, I'm much more clearer about my image now because I removed the dust.
yeah.
And,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and there's another step to it. I can only see myself in the mirror when I look in the mirror, but mirror does not have my face. So
Wow.
yeah, when I take the mirror to be real, I think I am real, but I'm not real. Actually, I'm just an image in the mirror, just as the mirror doesn't keep it. I move myself away from the mirror, there's nothing in the mirror. Mirror is just the same.
Okay. Oh
That's
yeah, yeah.
so that's my mental definition. And Ramana used to give us an example. And he gave a very good example of how to remove your objects. He said, you go to a movie, you watch a movie, and you have a whole story in front of you with different characters and some fighting and some love and some war and some winning and some losing in the movie. And you get completely embroiled in that, consumed by that story. You even cry or laugh in the movie. But when the movie ends, the screen has no images on it. So look at
Yeah.
the screen as a reality which does not change. So the screen on
Oh yeah.
yeah, so the screen on which I project images does not change.
Okay.
It is static, it is white or off-white. And the images
Okay.
on it, and similarly is my life. I'm just being projected on this screen of the universe that I've created, which is false. And I think this is
Yeah.
if I keep withdrawing and go away from being too attached, and things are not going to happen in one day because I am what I am today. Who am I today is a product of previous habits, previous things that I've done in previous lives. Therefore, I have a
Oh,
peculiar nature that my sister or my brother doesn't. We are very similar. I'm very much, I can say I'm like my mother, but I'm not 100% like her. I'm like my twin brother, but I'm not 100% like that. People, it's
okay.
not different. There is nobody who is exactly the same as the other person.
Yeah. Even if we believe in the same things, yeah, we're never we're very unique, like, right?
Yeah. So that's the way to start. Look, have the faith, number one. So the first step is to have faith because there are lots of people you'll come across in life as one begins to feel it, one begins to talk about it, and half the people will call you crazy and walk away from you. They'll say, "Oh, she's going
Oh
crazy
yeah.
nowadays. She doesn't
Yeah.
know what she's
Yeah.
talking about. I have many more important things to do than talk to
Oh
her."
yeah. I have to keep my theater, my stage and my theater like living.
So coming back to it, the process is long, and the process is easy and yet difficult in the sense it's easy if we have the clarity that I'm not real, my world is not real, like many people did. St. Francis of Assisi from Italy, he had the moment of realization when his father told him, you know the story of St. Francis of Assisi.
No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no.
He was an Italian saint in the 6th century, if I'm not mistaken, in the town of Assisi. and he was a son of a very, very successful cloth merchant. His father used to export all kinds of expensive woven
Textile.
clothes and designed clothes all over the wherever the ships used to go at that time. And he was a big businessman, humongously successful businessman. And his son was
Okay.
coming of age, and son was very unusual kid who just used to love birds and feeding the birds all the time. And father thought that my son would not be able to do much. He's not much into anything. So let me induct him into my business. And he takes him to his factory where they are weaving clothes and all that. You know, weavers are working. And he goes there. So he's watching and he's seeing that all the workers are tired, famished, their ribs are protruding, they're very poor, their clothes are dirty, their clothes are very dirty and all that. And so he says to them, and he's such an innocent guy, he says, "Why do you wear dirty clothes? You should wear nice clothes." And they all look at him that your father gives us such paltry money that we cannot afford to be even have two square meals. What are you talking about? But he tells them in his innocence, after you finish work, why don't you come home? I'll give you nice clothes so that tomorrow you all can wear good clothes and come. So they all come in front of his house and he starts throwing them expensive clothes to them. So the
Okay.
father, so
I didn't know
father,
that.
father lodges a complaint with the king. Kings used to be the court at that time. And the charges are that my son is squandering my wealth, expensive clothes. He's making me poorer or pauper, and he should be charged. So while the charges are being read in the town of Assisi, because the courts used to be held publicly, when people were
Yeah.
announcement was made, come to the court, father has sued the son. So when the charges were being read, Francis, who was only 16 years old, takes off all his clothes and becomes naked in front of the entire town. And when the
Wow.
charges were finished, they finished reading the charges. He walks up to his father with the clothes and he says, "Here are your clothes. You wanted them back. Here they are. You are not my father. I'm not your son. I'm going in search of my father. I'm leaving now." And he doesn't wait for the king to start the proceedings. He just walks out of there and would
Okay, okay.
and then would be known as Saint Francis of Assisi. His friends, where did he go? Right away, he went to the lepers' home who used to live outside the town, where everybody hated the lepers, and they used to live in a dilapidated building, a house, old house, and he went to
Okay.
serve them. And then his friends followed him, and they always used to just serve the lepers, and they always used to beg for food. And even after begging for food, he would tell all his friends, "We can't start eating until and unless we find out if anybody else is hungry. We'll give the food to
Okay.
them first." So the first step is to have the faith. Second step is to begin to look at my objects as false, as fake, and not worthy of any persuasion. And the third step is to know that if I serve others just as I serve myself, is better for my future actions and future lives. And
For
hope,
future life. Yeah, yeah.
right, hopefully I'll become really pure. Right now, I'm not pure. I'm afraid of telling people I'm not a good person. I tell people I'm a good person. I don't trust others. And I remove
Yeah.
my vision of others and I bring the vision to myself. Who am I? And whence am I? Where have
Okay.
I arrived from? I've arrived from various births. We all, Frederica, we all have been brothers and sisters and business partners and husbands and wives and enemies and good friends and everything in the past. We are not meeting anybody new. That's why
Yeah.
whence am I? I have arrived here from somewhere, and that also is not in my hands. I didn't choose my parents. I didn't choose my brother and sister. They've been given unto me. And not
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so that's the way to start the process. Who am I? This will get cut off in a moment or two, so we'll wrap it up here. And I always like to
yeah.
wrap it up with one oblation, one respect
Okay.
to the guru, and I just chant. So he wrote a shloka of 2 lines when somebody asked him to give his autograph. This gentleman bought some books. He had come in there for a few days when Ramana Maharshi was alive, and he bought some books from the bookstore, came back before departing, and asked Ramana to autograph it. Ramana never wrote
Yeah.
his name. Ramana never not let alone autograph. He never wrote his name, Ramana Maharshi. So he
Yeah.
didn't respond. He left the books in front of him. So some other devotee, senior devotee, told him he doesn't autograph. He implored, he pleaded. He says, "Okay, okay, no problems. Don't autograph. Just write your name in the book for me, because I really have come here for the first time, and I would like to come back. Would like to read your books and all that." But he doesn't move, so someone else tells me he doesn't write his name. So he says, "Please write something in the book." So Raman Maharshi, on the spur of the moment, wrote a shloka that he created right then and there. And that shloka is this, which I will tell you the meaning right away, so that in case we get cut off, the meaning is, it is only a word, ekam akshar. How can it be written about? It reveals itself. It is resplendent and reveals itself. It cannot be written about. So he's talking about the self. Who am I? Where is my heart? My heart is here on the right side of my chest, where I reside. And this is the reality in my heart. There's no heaven. Reality is not up there in the heavens. Heaven is right here. So the verse he wrote was Ekamaksharam Ridinirantaram Bhasite Swayam Likhyate Katham. Likhyate Katham. How can I write about it? It's only one word or one letter, and it reveals
How
itself.
can I know about it?
It cannot be written about. So he was referring to the reality, the self, the heart, the consciousness, the cosmos, whatever name you want to call it by. You can call it Allah, you can call it.
I want to like record it, like the word, because I cannot get it.
I can send
Can
it
you
to
say
you.
it?
I can send you an English transliteration of this Sanskrit words and the meaning of that.
Ah, but can you say it again, please? Just the
Oh, sure.
word.
Ekamaksharam. It's just
Ekamakshara.
letter. It is just a letter, he actually says. Akshara means
Ah,
letter. Ekamaksharam Ridi Nirantaram is resplendent always, is always there, present. It never diminishes, never leaves. Ekamaksharam Ridi Nirantaram. Ridi means heart. It is always residing, resplendent in the heart.
okay.
Ridinirantaram bhasate swayam, and reveals itself. And not revealed by any
Okay.
method. It reveals itself. Bhasate swayam likhyate katham. Likhyate, written, writing. How can I? Katham, how can it be written about? So
Oh
that,
yeah. Yeah.
yes, that's the shloka he
How
wrote.
can it be written about? It's so nice.